to On the Path. I am Keziah Young, and as always, I'm so happy to have you join me, being a part of what is to become On the Path, being a part of the clarity and truth that we seek and find for ourselves and in our lives that keeps us on the path of alignment and just the vibration of good and vastness, and growing forward and evolving, and all of the things, right? All of the things. I've been thinking about a lot lately. I have been in sort of a self-study for maybe the most part of my life in different ways to different degrees, but really throughout the years of my life. And it hasn't been until now where it's all coming together in this amazing way and in a very challenging way. And that's what brings me to today and what we'll talk about today. Inquiry is so important. Self-inquiry is so important. Because if we're not looking within, reflecting, pausing long enough to see what is, hear what is, and move from the clarity of our sight, from the truth of our seeing, what we learn, how do we evolve? How do we grow? And lately, I'm in a new relationship, and I have a partner who I feel is the one. The one has many different connotations, but I mean the one for me through time and space. Someone with whom I want to navigate the terrain, keep steady on the path, invest in, truly, because all of the ingredients are there. All of the ingredients necessary to move through hard things, to have rich friendship, to listen and hear, to be heard, to understand, to see. All of the ingredients are there. And what that does is it demands that she and I both rise to the occasion of our life, that we stretch who we are in order to meet each other. And this relationship is pointing to something that I have to look at within myself. I can easily become frustrated. And it's like, what is behind the frustration? From where does this come? Why? What is this? And whoa, how potent it can feel inside of myself, like dysregulating. And I've been called, because it's important to see clearly, it's important to grow forward, it's important to understand. I've been called to sit with that and be with it and peel back those layers and understand it. And you know what I realized? Is that somewhere along the way, I bypassed an anger that isn't mine. That's interesting. Let's rewind that. I bypassed an anger that isn't mine. It's like I skipped over an anger that isn't mine, but yet that was coming from within me. Let's say that again. I bypassed an anger that wasn't mine, and yet it was coming from within me. Whoa. And that brings me to the word modeling. When I go back to my childhood and I look at what I saw, what I heard, what I felt, I realize that the modeling in front of me at that time looked like resentment and anger. It looked like frustration and dismissal and ignoring and withdrawing. It looked like distance. It looked like everything that was not love and affection and compassion and grace and feeling and emotion. The modeling, and I'm going to just say it, on the side of my mother, and that's a whole other episode, right? The modeling, all of that, it seeps in. It's what you see. It's what you know. It's what you learn, even when you consciously do not choose it. I remember growing up, I was like, whew, when I get older, I am not going to be those ways. And for a long time, I wasn't. That's the bypass. I felt like I just made a decision not to be that way, and I wasn't. But what happens through time and space is whatever we choose not to face or really look clearly at or peel back those layers and investigate and inquire and all of the things, they have a way of rising to the surface, those things, in different moments with different people. And it can be easy to think that it's the other person. It can be easy to, write it off as just a moment in time. And you can get on with it, get beyond it in that moment in time, but it keeps coming back around. Well, if something keeps coming back around with you, that means you are the common denominator in that equation. So with me, this level of frustration, I became the common denominator in my own equation. And so I went, I remember as a kid what that all looked like. I remember wanting a different experience. And so how is it that I can be an adult and reach a level of frustration or be, closed off or a little distant, or because I'm, one, protecting something, question mark, exclamation point, two, not pulling from anything that I ever saw, because that, what was modeled was the thing that I'm trying to move away from, right? And that led me to this whole, wow, there's this low level anger because I skipped investigating it. I skipped looking at the source and looking at the little me and saying, whatever you experience, that modeling, whatever you got or didn't get from your mother, it wasn't a reflection of you. It's a reflection of who she was, the work she perhaps did not do. It was a result of what she either could give or chose to give. And yes, it was a template, understandably so. It was a template for you. And now you can pan out and go, all is well within. There is nothing to fear or be afraid of. And when that template shows up, pause, feel how you feel. Separate the feeling from the person in front of you and inquire, what's happening? How are you feeling? What's under the frustration or the anger? What's under it? Are you hurting? Is there something that you need? Find yourself. And lately, that's what I've been doing. I have been investigating it's like this one reaction or this one way of being, this potent frustration. I've been investigating that. And you know what's happening as I investigate it, as I see clearly? I come to understand it. And then I come to go, wow, and have some compassion for myself. And then I come to this place of, okay, and now what is my intervention? What will be my practice to start undoing that? How am I creating a new template? And am I communicating this to whomever needs to hear it? And there's one word that is the word of practice and strength and challenge, and that's vulnerability. To be vulnerable with myself about this template that needs to be, undone, and vulnerable to others, such as my partner, to say, there's a template. And that template that came from the modeling is behind, underneath this frustration, because this is what I saw. But guess what? It's not me, because me is all of the other ways of being. And so I am happy to be able to create a new template and model ways of being that resonate deeply with who I am, and that connects me to what I am to be connected to, that expands my heart and does not close it, that extends grace to myself and to others, that allows me the fullness of the depths of who I am. And so today, I want to encourage you whomever's listening, to pause and see if there's something you may have been bypassing and sit with it. To pause and see if there's a template in your life that isn't even yours and sit with it. And allow the sitting to create new form, new shape, more spaciousness, more clarity, more truth, so that you can walk in that light, in that space, in that place, on that vibration. Swim the seas of your deepest truth. And I'm right there with you, pausing and seeing and looking and undoing and creating anew. Here's to that. Thank you for your ear, and for your time and for your heart and for your vulnerability. And thank you for holding mine. I hope you come back and join me again. And I hope that you call and leave a message or email, because I'd love to be in talk and connection with you. And I hope that you too want to be in talk and connection with me. I'll see you then.